Greetings, NAF Nation. Welcome to NAF Next 2021. Day 2 is focused on accelerating access and equity. I am Tara Bellevue, NAF's Vice President of Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Access Strategy. Take a little journey with me. I was a little girl from South Carolina who carried around a purse with a single gift inside. I had big dreams with an adventurous spirit. I envisioned myself as a business executive, which materialized as me playing business with my much older aunts and paying them in candy as I tabulated their wages with my pocket calculator. The gift in that hand-sewn purse was from my mother, a gift that was priceless to me, a laminated library card at the early age of 5. It gave me the opportunity to see the world through books that went beyond my imagination and the confines of my zip code. A set of World Book Encyclopedia in blue and gold. That's equivalent to a smartphone and a Google for Gen Zers. A subscription to Reader's Digest, being bused to the other school for advanced courses, and many more acts of courage that my single mother with a high school diploma did so that I could be the first generation out of poverty and definitely not the last. You see, parents have a vision and dream for their children that exceeds their present reality. Mrs. Kelly once told me during the 9th grade, "You are really good at math." Of course, I didn't believe her, but forever the people pleaser, aka the teacher's pet, I wanted to make her proud and earn that A+. Little did I know that she was shaping my future. I was a mathlete champion, math scholarship recipient, business and math state certified teacher, all because educators like her are driving their students to succeed. There's a debt of gratitude that I owe to Mrs. Kelly and all teachers who inspire hope, ignite the imagination, and instill a love of learning. I know firsthand that NAF educators like Ms. Izzo, Ms. Moore, Mr. Aron, Ms. Belcher, and many more directly impact students. Thus, NAF is uniquely positioned to close educational and economic gaps, with over 70% of our NAF students identifying as Black, Hispanic, or Latinx, and a diverse industry network that remains committed to providing access and opportunity to the future workforce. There is hope and action in the IDEA strategy that enables NAF in the equity initiatives, our partners like RTX, KPMG, Verizon, and so many more that have launched and ensures ongoing engagements that reflect our IDEA goals. NAF continues to guide young people through post-high school services that foster rich experiences for our NAF alum. Our IDEA lens allows us to focus on mentoring and college experiences that elevate the BIPOC community. NAF is committed to strategic partnerships and alliances that align with like-minded organizations, as well as partnering with those advancing racial equity. We are clear that elevating the student voice and revising curriculum to ensure it is culturally responsive are critical steps in reaching our goals. There's a shared commitment to providing access, opportunity, and inclusion for the future workforce, and to helping our partners to sustain their current workforce. We are all clear that representation matters. The world around us has changed, and so too must our approach to education. The equity gaps have increased, and we believe our IDEA strategy, along with the full force of the NAF Network, will be the game changer. Thus, to achieve our goals, it will take all of us, educators, business partners, parents, policymakers, students, and alumni, to act and activate on behalf of the next generation. And now, it is my pleasure to introduce my colleague, Tiffany Barfield, who leads our work in policy and advocacy.
Hello, I'm Tiffany Barfield, Senior Director of Policy and Advocacy, and I'm pleased to present the 2021 Citizen of Excellence Award to Justin Yancey, President of the Texas Business Leadership Council. The Council is a statewide network of CEOs and business executives who advance a long-term vision of a prosperous Texas in a globally competitive environment. NAF has been fortunate to partner with Justin for years. We appreciate the TBLC's focus on critical talent development issues and continuing to support and advance high-quality work-based learning that will result in a strong and diverse pipeline of future leaders in Texas. Congratulations, Justin.
Thank you, Tiffany. I really do appreciate it. And on behalf of the TBLC, gladly accept. We are very happy and proud to partner with NAF. And to be honest, this is just really nice. We appreciate it and look forward to working with you and NAF in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We're so excited to be here to have a quick conversation and policy overview with our friends from Texas. So I want to first of all introduce myself. My name is Tracy Young, and I'm a NAF policy consultant here in Texas and across the country. I'd like to introduce Tiffany and then have everybody else introduce themselves as well.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tiffany Barfield, Senior Director of Policy and Advocacy at NAF. And as Tracy said, delighted to be joined by our friends and partners for this great policy conversation.
Thanks, Tiffany. My name is Tania Curry. I serve as a Director of Government Relations for nationwide nonprofit Project Lead the Way. We are a developer and provider of STEM curriculum in computer science, engineering, and biomedical sciences. Excited to be here.
Great, thanks.
Hi, my name is Justin Yancey. I'm president of the Texas Business Leadership Council, and we're a statewide CEO and senior executive-based public policy organization.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're very excited to have this quick conversation. We're going to talk a little bit about policy and advocacy, and we're also going to talk about the coalition that we were able to build this year with the Texas legislature. So I want to kick it off and just ask a little bit about what it was like working together in coalition, kind of how did it come about, what was the genesis of it. So I'll start with you, Tiffany.
Great. Thanks, Tracy. I was lucky enough to work with Tania's partner in Florida, and she introduced us. And knowing that our synergies around work-based learning and student access to opportunities through work-based learning with businesses, she connected us on some efforts that Tania was leading with this session that just ended in Texas. So many of our NAF partners and friends that are listening in today know that Project Lead the Way is one of NAF's core curriculums within our engineering and IT academies. So it was exciting to be able to join on this effort.
Yeah, we were so excited to be connected to NAF and to Tiffany through my colleague in Florida. And looking back on the last session that happened in 2019, what bills we might be able to work on, and really decided to take up this work-based learning piece and pull together folks from NAF and Texas Business Leadership Council and a couple other partners in working on this work-based learning bill. So it was a really great collaboration. I was really grateful for the partnership.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean, I can just add that it was a very effective coalition of like-minded partners from a variety of different perspectives, but all with the same goals, and everyone was fully engaged, and we were very happy to work with as a business voice, as part of all the other voices and employer voices. I think it worked really well.
That's wonderful. And I mean, talking a little bit more about that, I mean, you hear from people, why would a coalition be helpful? But tell a little bit more about going into legislators' offices and sort of being a united front, if you will.
Well, one thing that I would like to start with is, policy and advocacy is fairly new to NAF. Even though we're a 40-year-old organization, it's been exciting to collaborate with partners in the legislative policy and government affairs space. So by NAF having access to be able to be a partner, it was key for us to meet new members and new state legislators. So I just want to thank you for asking us first to be a part of this.
Yeah, I mean, working in the advocacy space, we know that so many more voices is so much more powerful than one, right? And especially when we talk about something like work-based learning, where we're trying to pull together a statewide support of something like this to bring together the tri-agencies, the Texas Education Agency, the Higher Education Coordinating Board, and the Texas Workforce Commission, it is extremely critical and valuable to have multiple voices around the table to speak to the importance of this type of initiative.
Well, yeah, Texas has a 140-day long session, so it's a really relatively narrow window. And so if you can provide a organized voice, it provides comfort for the legislators to know that these groups have done their research, they've done their policy, they know what they're talking about from the perspective of Project Lead the Way, NAF and other partners, and the business voices there. And so it really is a successful recipe because it's authentic.
Absolutely, absolutely. And tell us a little bit more about the bill itself. We're almost at the goal line, so we can't say too much more about it, but tell us a little bit more about the bill and what it'll help do.
Sure. So following the 86th legislative session in 2019, there was a work-based learning bill that didn't quite make it to the finish line. And in looking to what our priorities could be going into the 2021 session, we really saw this as an opportunity to work across the state with various stakeholders and emphasize the importance of early exposure to work-based learning, to the elementary to middle school level, and obviously the high school connecting to the post-secondary and workforce arenas. And so, pulling together this partnership, we drafted this bill together with the folks in the coalition and got it through the process with a lot of support across not only this coalition, but a ton of corporations across the state and educational organizations across the state, and really speaking to student experiences from a Project Lead the Way standpoint, from a NAF standpoint, talking about how that skills development piece in the classroom is essential.
Absolutely. Yeah. And talk to us a little bit about engaging our corporate partners as well from NAF.
Absolutely. So that was exciting for us to be able to connect with our corporate partners really in a different way that NAF hasn't before, and asking for government affairs support and sign on to the letter that the coalition sent. And our corporate partners were all in and jumped in because Tania and Justin, as you both said, they understand that earlier access to a diverse talent pipeline is going to support their business.
Absolutely. And kind of talking a little bit more about that from the business perspective, sometimes, we even heard this session from some people, kind of why is business involved in education? I think we all know and understand the key need for that. But talk to us a little bit more about what businesses think about this.
Sure. Yeah. Over the years I've been here, we've had to described why businesses or why employers are really engaged with education, whether that be early education in high schools and institutions of higher education. Our economy and the nation's economy, and specifically in Texas, is just moving, very, very quickly in multiple directions. And so if we don't have the business voice, employers' voice at the table as these programs and policies and mentoring and everything else is being done, then you come up with a result that's not maybe is going to be as effective or needed in a region or area. And Texas is a large state, so having businesses by region involved in this work is we think very important, and we've always heard from the legislature and from education that it's very important, and we have great partnerships that have built a lot of new bridges.
Absolutely. And talking, we hear a lot about high wage, high demand. Is that also key to be able to bring that back into the education space? Yeah,
companies are not able to grow as fast as they would like to. They can't expand because they don't have the talent or the pipeline that they may need. And so being able to take that into their own hands and work directly with partners who get it and are the experts in providing education and training and skills, it's been very helpful because it's allowing where we have good programs, and we have a lot of them around the state and working on these kinds of things to really scale and build more. It's helped significantly to have quick, meaningful training on top of course the core curriculum and good education, because we need
that's great
all of our students.
Absolutely, thank you. And we talk about equity as well, and really making sure that there's a diverse pipeline and a diverse workforce. So talk to us a little bit about how these programs help in that area as well for all students.
Sure. I think to Justin's earlier point, having a corporation and business backing from an upstream perspective is so critical in building our workforce, right? We talk about how underrepresented populations, particularly girls and students of color, they oftentimes may not otherwise have been exposed to a course like a Project Lead the Way engineering computer science course or a NAF engineering course. And the earlier they have the ability to see that they have the capacity for that skill set and a very strong skill set, the more likely it is that they're going to persist in a way that they are going to seek out that type of role going forward. And so that's definitely a huge focus of ours when we look at these types of policies and legislation of that early exposure piece. And we know that businesses care about it because they're realizing now that, waiting until high school or college is a little late, so starting early really contributes to that equity piece.
Absolutely.
And we think equity is just a major piece, and I echo what Tania said. Texas has been doing better in terms of education year after year, but falling farther and farther behind in terms of competitiveness with other states and other regions in terms of a skilled workforce. Again, we have lots of great programs, we have incredible teachers and schools, but we have very high growth demographics in the state. And so if we don't address the equity issue and students of color, we're not going to, at the end of the day, we're not going to have a fully, increased created a more healthy economy, I should say, because for too long, your zip code would sort of dictate some of your success. And so a lot of the work-based learning we're doing is really to make sure that we go into, schools that maybe over the past many decades have not been as the center point or the focus of the strategy. It's just very important from a standpoint of the individual as well as the business.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And I see to both your points, the access, and that our students are able to get access to businesses and to work-based learning experiences. When they see it, they can be it. But I would also say what's been, one of the things that we've learned through COVID is our students have been able to adapt virtually, and they've been able to even get experiences. They might be a Dallas ISD student, but they're able to work in Detroit virtually and see that. And we know that that's not going away, but obviously the back in person and getting that connectedness skills matter. So the equity piece from an access, and our companies have just really put the foot on the gas and understanding that they need that diversity in their talent pipeline.
Absolutely. And I mean, you mentioned this a little bit, but also just having mentors. I mean, it's greatly expanded the ability to have mentors across the country as well. I think that's so terrific. I mean, we talked a little bit about having a variety of sectors engaging. What would you say to people that that aren't currently involved in in sort of engaging in this policy space?
You know what I really loved amid all of the drawbacks of living through the Texas legislative session during a pandemic is that to a certain degree there was more folks who had access in a way to participate in some places and others maybe not. But what we really found neat in our work, particularly for this work-based learning piece and even some of our work in computer science, is that people came out from their profession to go testify on bills. Students testified on bills from their classroom, and what that is so valuable to this work. We talk about multiple voices, and we have a great group sitting here, but being able to listen to the person who's directly affected by a policy, a student, and hear their experiences, it's so powerful. And so I definitely see the value in engaging the folks who are at the result of those types of policies and encouraging them to get involved.
I couldn't agree more. Tracy and I had an experience with key students from Dallas ISD sharing about their paid internship and what it was like kind of at the start of COVID falling into the summer and what they were doing. And the state legislator that was on, the student just piped up. He was like, you never asked the students what we thought about this. To your point, go to the source as to where they're most directly going to be affected.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that's, I wonder, and I mean, this is sort of a question for both this framework that we hope will pass and be here in Texas, but where do we go from here? Whether it's sort of broader than Texas or whether it's a part of this framework, where do you think we should go from here in terms of policy and advocacy, and also thinking about our audience too? Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that Tiffany said earlier, don't take your foot off the gas. I mean, that to me is something that I've been thinking about. On occasion, there are situations where a bill will pass, or something a program, or even a conference. Now is the time, because the economy is recovering. And to fully recover, we need this work to go on. And so I just want to make sure that companies throughout the state, throughout the country, realize that while it's not just super easy to go and do all of this, it's also very doable and can be done. And there are so many support, so many groups that can help support and put different programs in place to help you, fill the talent that you need, to find the talent that you need, and fill positions. And so I guess our main thing is to make that message to employers is, this is a really, really great new path. Not new, but new path, and we're trying to scale and provide that opportunity around the state, because there's students all around the state that need new opportunities.
Absolutely.
And I think that in working in the advocacy space, the work never stops, right? And so all of us here are hoping that the governor signs our bill. It made it through both chambers, but ultimately, similar to how we did following 2019, we keep on going despite the outcome, right? And to Justin's point, I do hope that corporations continue to invest in this type of work in the classroom. I mean, from a Project Lead the Way standpoint, we have a number of industry partners, including Dow, Toyota, Chevron, who realize that this is bigger than just their workforce, that in Texas they need to invest into that skills development that's necessary for the state. And so continuing to really push that message, show the value outside of the classroom, let the student tell their story is what's going to be important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think shaping also around what we've learned through this past year, and students have missed learning, and I know the term learning loss, but work-based learning, I believe, can help exponentially speed that for the student, because they're getting those college career ready skills by meeting with mentors, by being in the business. So if we keep accelerating work-based learning experiences, to me that can help drive students and the next workforce and help make that catch up, and how important it is for all of those skills to keep continuing to build upon each other. I was listening to a conference and the CEO of SHRM said businesses are worried about the learning loss. They're thinking that's my future talent pipeline. That 8th grader is not on an 8th grade level and he's coming to me. So I think the continued work together will help us even accelerate to better jobs, to better outcomes, to more diversity in the workforce.
Absolutely, I know. Does anybody have any last thoughts that they want to share with our crowd before we let them keep on going?
No, I look forward to continuing working with you all. Project Lead the Way loves working with NAF, and we're doing great work here in Texas and in Florida and other places, and look forward to the continued partnership there and with folks like the Texas Business Leadership Council.
Yeah, same here. You know, we have groups around the country that are similar to us, CEO-based councils and roundtables, and we work with them, and I encourage them to work with their partners in their states. But from a Texas perspective, we are definitely looking forward to continuing throughout the interim, and again, I completely agree with what you said, that this is the opportunity right now to help the quicker we can help with learning loss through these kinds of programs, the better it is. Again, as I said before, not just for the employee, but for the employer, but the employee, and there's consequences to that, and positive consequences for having a career that so it's something we're just fully engaged with and fully believe in, and happy to be a partner.
Great, wonderful.
And I would just say to the NAF Network, if you just see how great building coalitions are, and this is something that can last in all of our sectors of work, within our schools, and our schools collaborating with additional academies outside of the state. But if you know of any partners that are doing this work in your state, our local area, please make sure you send us a note, policy@naf.org, and we would love to help build even more of these coalitions to support our over 100,000 students in the NAF network. And just thank you to our partners here in Texas for inviting us to be a part of this coalition, and it was great to see the passage, and as Tania said, hopefully a signature soon, and thanks for being with us.
Great, thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Hello, everyone. I hope you enjoyed our in-depth policy conversation and hearing all the exciting things that NAF's policy and advocacy team has been pushing forward. One thing to note, I'm very excited to tell you that we did indeed cross the finish line and meet the goal, that the governor did indeed sign our bill, and it will become law effective September 1st. Now, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce NAF alum, NAF advocate, and my friend, state representative from the great state of Louisiana, District 100, Mr. Jason Hughes. Thanks, Jason.
Well, thank you, Tiff, my dear friend. That was truly a terrific discussion. Hello, everyone. I'm State Representative Jason Hughes from the great state of Louisiana, representing House District 100 in New Orleans. But most importantly, I'm a proud alum of NAF from the McDonough 35 Senior High School Academy of Finance class of 2000. I'm certainly thrilled to be here today. Students are truly at the center of everything that we do here at NAF. And when it comes to access to opportunity, their voice is absolutely critical to making that possible. It is with great pleasure that I welcome three amazing NAF students to share their perspective on what equity and access means to them. Joining me this morning as a part of this conversation as our panelists, first of all, Elron DeMello. He is a student at Pathways Academy of Technology and Design in Hartford, Connecticut. Miss Elizabeth Senda, who is a student at the Medical Education and Research Academy at McLean High School in Fresno, California. And finally, Miss Anijah Brennan, who is a student at Coolidge High School Academy of Health Sciences in Washington, D.C. Good morning, Elron. Good morning, Elizabeth. And good morning, Anijah. So great for you all to join us this morning. Elron, I'm going to start with you with the first question. Through your NAF Academy, what kind of activities have you participated in where you learned about your career options?
So I went to a NAF Academy of Information Technology, and because of that, I had a lot of opportunities to learn about my career options. My school had things like job shadows. We were able to go to a lot of local businesses, both small and large, and learn about the different career opportunities that they had, follow employees, and learn about their facilities and things like that. I also had different NAF IT classes. I took multiple different programming classes, robotics and automation, just to name a few. And I've also participated in 3 different paid internships. And these opportunities have really helped me discover what I want to do with my future.
That's awesome. Anijah, I'm going to go to you next with the same question. Through your NAF Academy, what kinds of activities have you participated in where you learned about your career options? That's all right. We may be having some technical difficulties. Gotta love technology. Elizabeth, are you with me?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to go to you next. Through your NAF Academy, what kinds of activities have you participated in where you learned about your career options?
So at my school, we actually also had a similar experience like Aaron just discussed, but we also had paid internships where we actually got introduced to these work-based learnings and experiences at a very young time. I started as soon as my freshman year. I got to actually do some job shadowing. We actually practiced interviews, so I feel like that really prepared me for my interviews that I had to actually get a job, and I'm actually really thankful for that.
Awesome. So, Elizabeth, I'm going to stick with you. Given these experiences that you've received, how have these experiences helped to shape your vision for the future?
These experiences have honestly really opened my eyes to all of my opportunities, especially the internships that I'm actually applying for right now. I feel like these experiences definitely made me feel like I had a part in all of this, and I feel like I found where I belong. Especially in the internships, I actually got to do such things like hand-based learning. It's not really like the traditional setting. So I actually got hands-on experiences, and I actually got to see what it's like working in the workforce and in the medical field.
That's awesome. Elron, I'm going to go back to you. How have your experiences helped to shape your vision for the future?
So my internship experiences have been very valuable to me. I'm currently participating in a NAF Future Ready Lab with Pratt & Whitney, which is the Raytheon Technologies subsidiary. And through that, I've been able to interact with engineers, which is the field that I want to go into. I've been able to experience what they do on a day-to-day basis, which has really helped me.
Awesome. So, Elron, I'm going to stick with you for just a moment. What's different from your academy than other programs that may exist at your school?
So my school's a little bit different. My school is wall-to-wall NAF. The entire school is a NAF academy. But just comparing it to some of my friends who didn't go to a NAF school, I think the number one thing is industry experience. Being able to interact with companies in the area who could give you a job in the future, and then going through classes that teach you real IT things, different programming languages, robotics, things like that, was really the biggest difference.
Awesome. And so, Elizabeth, now I'm going to go back to you, my friend. What's different from your academy than other programs that exist at your school?
Like I said, also I wanted to add on to what Aaron was saying. I have a similar experience. Some of my friends that did not actually go to my school, they had told me, oh, you're not going to get the experience, you're not going to get the medical experience or the clinical experience. But honestly, I could say that I really did. And compared to some of those other schools, I actually got internship opportunities and hands on opportunities. I got a lot of certifications this year. And I'm actually involved in a college course where I actually get to learn medical terminology. And I know these classes and courses aren't offered at other schools. So that's the difference.
Awesome. So, Elizabeth, I'm going to stick to you on this very next question. Diversity, equity, and inclusion are at the forefront of the conversation in building our future workforce. Many companies have developed practices to support this work. How has this focus impacted you?
Honestly, being in the medical field and wanting to pursue a future career in the medical field, I've also obviously done some research on companies that have actually promoted this diversity and inclusion in their workplace. And a company that I actually researched about was Kaiser Permanente. I would actually love to work there in the future. And I've seen how much they promote this inclusion and make all of not only their patients, but their employees feel welcome and feel like they're not going to be discriminated against in any way in the workplace. And I feel like that's honestly a place for me. I would feel safe. And I think it's a great thing that everybody feels included and they don't feel like they don't belong or because of their skin color that they can't pursue these careers of theirs. And I feel like that's very important, especially in the workplace, and that being introduced at a very early time.
Awesome. Thank you. Elron, I'm going to go back to you on this exact same question. Diversity, equity, and inclusion are at the forefront of the conversation in building our future workforce. Many companies have developed practices to support this work. How has this focus impacted you?
So I think that companies having these initiatives in their hiring is incredibly beneficial, but especially in internships at the high school level. I think giving students who might not have otherwise had the opportunity to get industry experience, make sure that these initiatives have really long-term and generational impacts. I think this ensures that these companies have voices from all different walks of life.
Awesome. So I'm going to go back to Anaja for a second. Anaja, through your NAF Academy, what kinds of activities have you participated in where you learned about your career options?
Well, when we started our outdoor learning program, we had Mr. Gabe, who's a DC native and also an educator in the city. And he came in and just told us a little bit about what he does. And now he's more into like musical production. If you're familiar with the show The Boondocks, he usually raps all the songs in that show. So he told us about that and just other career things that he's done. So it really like helped inspire a lot of us.
Great. And Naja, I'm going to stick with you for a second. How have these experiences that you received at your NAF Academy, how have they helped to shape your vision for the future?
Well, I want to get into marketing and communications. I'm not sure which area in that I want to go into, but being in a mass media academy and learning about like how the newsroom is run, how to do interviews, photography, videography, it's put me ahead because now I know all these things and love it. And there's so much exposure that comes with being in an academy. Now we have an IG page and we have a YouTube page, so our work is out there, and now, we're able to be known and exposed.
Awesome. You're doing so great. I'm going to stick with you again. So what's different from your academy than other programs at your school?
Well, we're the only NAF Mass Media Academy in DC, and we're the only ones who have a state-of-the-art studio, so that's been really, great.
Okay. Awesome. And when you think about Anaja, diversity, equity, and inclusion are at the forefront of the conversation in building our future workforce, many companies have developed practices to support this work. How has this focus impacted you personally?
Well, I think it's helpful because being from the Black and Brown community, our voices are finally being heard, and we're doing things that we will only see being done in suburban areas, or on the TV in suburban schools. But now we're able to have that ourselves, and we're able to showcase our skills that we have that we didn't know that we had, and we're able to showcase skills that we had and just didn't have an outlet to show these skills. So that's been really great.
Awesome. Well, Elizabeth, I'm going to go back to you, my friend. As you all know, we're still in the middle of a global pandemic, but I think we're finally starting to see some light at the end of the tunnel. But this past school year was unlike any that any of us have seen in our lifetimes. And the three of you literally lived it as students in a very different way. at the forefront, as classes continued, was remote learning. So, what aspects of remote learning would you like to see continue even after you return to an in-person schedule?
Some things I would like to see would be the acceleration in these internships and these opportunities, and then being evenly distributed throughout schools, throughout areas, especially the area that I live in. You don't really see a lot of these opportunities, and I feel like these students should be given hope and feel like them too could be heard. So by accelerating these opportunities and these internships, we can honestly make sure that all the students feel safe and all the students feel like their voice is heard and they could all achieve something and just be given the opportunity. I feel like that's really important and should continue.
Great. And on a personal level, I mean, what was your experience with remote learning this past school year? How did you make out? Did you enjoy it? Just give me your candid, honest thoughts on it.
My personal experience wasn't the best because I feel like I did better in person. However, online, I did become more confident and I did speak a lot more. So I feel like now going back to school, shifting back to that traditional setting and being in person and seeing people face to face, I'll actually be more confident talking to them. As before, I wouldn't really talk to you unless you talk to me. But I feel like that really changed now.
Awesome. And Naja, back to you, my friend. What aspects of remote learning would you like to see continue even after you return to an in-person schedule?
Even though the pandemic was hard for everyone and the mass media class was worth a grade, it didn't really feel like a class. It was a lot of me and my classmates' favorite class to go to because we learned about fun things, the video editing, the photography, but we also learned about real world things like taxes, stock, and just other different things about our career and future. So I would really like to keep up with learning about stuff that we're actually going to need outside of school.
And just in general, give us your thoughts on a personal level. How was your experience over the past school year with remote learning?
It was pretty good. I actually did better with remote learning than I did in school because it wasn't as many distractions and my schedule was pretty flexible. I was very ahead because I just go ahead, in the traditional setting you have to go with the pace of the class. So at home was much better.
Great. Elron, what aspects of remote learning would you like to see continue even after we return to an in-person schedule?
So I really did think long and hard about this question. And really outside of the thing that Elizabeth brought up with internships being able to be virtual, I really could not think of anything. I truly did not like remote learning. I hated it, to be honest with you. There were just being virtual, not having that face-to-face interaction with teachers, with your fellow students, it really had an impact on my mental health, frankly. Just not being able to just talk to people. I really don't want to see any of remote learning come back. I'm really looking forward to going back to a semi-regular school year.
Yeah, well, look, I understand and I appreciate your candor. And before I go to the next question, I just want to really acknowledge not only the three of you, but all of your classmates for the extraordinary resiliency that each of you have shown over this last school year. It was not easy on you all as students, but you continue to succeed and you did it well. And really, you've inspired not only me, but so many of us, your teachers, your families, in the community at large. So I want to say kudos to each of you for hanging in there and for staying the course. Elizabeth, I'm going to start with you on my next question. I'm not only a policymaker, but I'm also an alum. We have educators listening in. We have business leaders listening in. We have so many people listening in to this student panel. And so this is one of the most important questions that I can ask. What do you want educators, policymakers, and business partners to know to help support your journey to future success?
Honestly, what I would like to say is continue spreading these work-based learnings to these students as soon as possible. I feel like that's honestly what has prepared me the most to where I am today and actually being ready for a future job and actually getting out there into the real world. This has actually really prepared me. So I feel like this is something that should continue. And I feel like they should know that it's actually having an impact on these students and it's actually having fast results. So I think that's really important and we should continue that. And I would like to see a lot more of it, a lot more opportunities, internships, job shadowings, all of these things that really had a great effect on all of these students' career paths.
Great. Elrod, talk to me as a policymaker and talk to all of our listening audience today. What do you want your educators, policymakers, and business partners to know to help support your journey to future success?
So I really think that connecting students to real world opportunities is something that has been incredibly beneficial to me. I think showing students the opportunities that they have that they could possibly achieve, and then actually allowing them to experience those things through internships and work-based learning is very valuable, and it really has been to me.
Anaja, same question to you, my friend. What do you want our educators, our policymakers, our business partners to know to help support your journey to future success?
Well, even though the Mass Media Academy is great and I've learned so much there, I feel as though there are some things that can be added to make the experience greater, and more mentorships and internships during the school year and summer instead of just senior year in the academy. Because having outside resources are great, and being able to intern with someone like in our dream job, dream profession, I feel like will help a lot of us starting young from freshman year and sophomore year to know like exactly where we want to go when we finish high school, and also being like having scholarships, partial or full, waiting for us at the end of the academy. Because even though we're taking 2 years to learn all this great stuff in our academies, at the end, when we graduate, we have nowhere to go because all of us, and I do mean all, we cannot afford to go to college or to go to a post-secondary school. So having that there for us, so we'll be able to like learn and like get money to go and develop these skills in another school and college, I think that would be really great, because if you don't go, if you just did this for 2 years, it kind of seems like a waste of time. So that would be great to have.
Great. Well, staying on this theme for just a moment, we're talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion, but I really want to focus on the inclusion piece, because when we talk about inclusion, that's really multifaceted. And as you're talking openly right now to educators, policymakers, and business leaders, one thing that I saw not only as a student, but that I continue to see firsthand as a policymaker, often we are proposing policies that directly impact students. And at the table, we have a wide range of stakeholders, but too often I feel like students are missing from the conversation. I just want to get your perspectives. Do you feel like you're being included enough in conversations around policies and practices that impact you? And if not, what advice would you give to our business leaders, your educators, and policymakers like me to ensure students are being included and that your voice is a part of these discussions? Elron, I'd love to start with you and hear your thoughts around that.
I think COVID was really the best example I have of this, of like students' voices really not being heard. My school district did some things that pretty much most students just did not support, didn't like, and just policies that did not make sense. So I think including student voices there would just be really beneficial. It would help all of us get a better outcome.
Elizabeth, what's your thoughts about students being included, not only in policy discussions, but within the business community, within your own school? Do you feel like students are being included enough? If not, what advice would you give to our business leaders, policymakers, and educators?
Me personally, I did feel included because at my school we actually have these ambassadors that attend these district meetings, but I feel like it wasn't the whole district that had these in their schools. So we actually changed that this year. We made a rule where all the schools are going to have these ambassadors now, and they attend these daily meetings or monthly meetings. And I feel like that should actually be included everywhere so that all the students feel like they had a voice. Not necessarily every single student has to attend these meetings. However, have students that are representing their voice, or they know they're being heard, or they know that they could go to a student. Because sometimes a student doesn't want to go straight to these business makers because they feel like they're not going to be heard or not feel comfortable. So sometimes having a student voice or having somebody that they could talk to comfortably, and then have this person go to these meetings and talk to these business makers and people, that it could just have a better effect and just work more efficiently in the future.
Great. And Naja, what's your thoughts, my friend, around as we talk about inclusion, particularly from a student perspective? Do you feel that students have been included, have been at the table, that the student voice is being heard with respect to policy making within our business community and within our education community?
Not really. I feel like it could definitely be used. I mean, our voices should be heard more because there's been so many times when I've like heard about changes being made, and I'm just like, that's so dumb. Like, why would they do that? And that's because like a student probably wasn't there to like voice their opinions because a lot of us we really think the same. So if I say something, I'm almost sure that like my 10 other classmates will agree, rather than having an adult tell us like what the decision is because like we're completely different. So yeah, I do feel like student voices should be heard more, so it would make like the whole experience even better.
So we are nearing the end of our panel, but just want to ask a couple last questions. Elizabeth, I'm going to start with you. Each of you are embarking on the next phase of not only your educational journey, but your career journey. Do you feel better prepared today to tackle the next phase of your educational and career journey because of your NAF experience? Do you feel less prepared? How do you feel? And talk to us open and honestly. How has your NAF experience impacted your next steps?
Honestly, yes, I feel better prepared. As a freshman, honestly, I would say no. But further on with the years, I have gotten more opportunities and more internships and these college courses that I've taken that have prepared me. They have taught me they have taught me such things as work handling and just ethic problems and everything that's going to happen in the workplace, so that I know how to better handle the situation when I'm actually in the workplace. So just having these examples, yes, I feel like has prepared me, and I do feel ready for my future career.
And Naja, how has your NAF experience impacted your educational and career journey? Do you feel better prepared for the next steps in your educational and career journey?
Yeah, I do feel better prepared. Like at first, I used to want to do like a whole bunch of things. Like if you asked me what I wanted a year ago, I would have said I wanted to be a firefighter. But now it's completely different than what I wanted to do at first. So I do feel like it has been in academy has like kind of narrowed what I wanted to. So it and just from like hearing all the opportunities that we have and having guest speakers come in and talk to us, it definitely has helped me to like know what I want to do and like what area I want to go in.
Great. Elron, you're close to the next steps in your educational and career journey. Talk to me very honestly and candidly. Do you feel better prepared today for the next phase in your educational and career journey because of NAF? Do you feel less prepared? How has NAF impacted this career journey for you?
So I really do feel more prepared. This fall, I'll be going to college pursuing a major in biomedical engineering, and that is really largely due to my experiences in my NAF Academy. I've been able to take a bunch of different college level classes, and because of all of those classes, I'll be going in as like almost a sophomore in college. Just especially the internship experience I've had with engineering companies has really helped me as well narrow down that selection of my major.
Great. So my final question to each of you, as an alum, this year I am celebrating my 21st year as a NAF alum and have contributed 21 years of continuous services to the National Academy Foundation because it has had such a profound impact on my life. And looking forward to passing the torch to the next generation of leadership, and the three of you are great examples of that. I'm so excited to see what's going to happen for you all next. So 10 years from now, where will you be? What will you be doing? Proclaim it now. Let the NAF world know. Let them hear it from you first. So Elizabeth, 10 years from now, where will you be? What will you be doing?
10 years from now seems like a very long time, but honestly, I've had such a passion for the medical field and just helping out and being a part of my community. So that's definitely where I see myself. And I feel like I'm going to work very hard to get there. And I honestly believe that in 10 years, I will be working in a hospital or somewhere in a clinic or something. Helping people is definitely where I see myself.
It does seem like a long time, but it will be here before you know it. Elron, let us know, where will you be in 10 years?
10 years from now, I'll probably be graduated with a bachelor's in biomedical engineering and a master's in something else undecided. And then hopefully be working at a company researching the next big thing in biomedical engineering and biomedical technology.
Not probably. Proclaim it. I proclaimed that in 2016 I would be in public office. It didn't happen until 2019, but it did happen. So I have faith in you. And Elijah, my friend, 10 years from now, what will you be doing? Where will you be?
10 years? That's so hard. I don't know why you asked me this question because I don't know. Okay, so I would just say like in 10 years, I will be interviewing people because I already have interview experience now and I really love it. So I'll probably be like the next Oprah Winfrey or something, interviewing people. It's like, I don't know. I really don't. I just hope I do something like nice and great.
Not probably. We're going to proclaim it. I'm actually in Nashville as we speak. It is the home of Tennessee State University, which is Oprah Winfrey's alma mater. So I feel that energy. I think you will be the next Oprah Winfrey. That will conclude the end of our panel. I really want to thank you, Elron, you, Elizabeth, and you, Anaja, for your extraordinary input and for your perspectives today. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences. Quite frankly, your voices have been heard and will certainly be a driving force in moving us forward. And I want to thank each and every attendee for attending the session with us this morning. We certainly hope you'll join us for this afternoon's learning sessions, many of which will follow the same vein of thought, including our industry trend session. So we certainly hope to see you then. And to all of our attendees, please be reminded today is the last day to vote for your fan favorites in the Lenovo app scholarship competition. Your votes are critically important. Your voices need to be heard. So please, please, please vote, weigh in. Again, thank you so much for joining us today to hear our student panel. Thank you for joining our NAF Next conference this year. Certainly hope to see you again next year. So for Elron, Elizabeth, and Naja, and all of us here at the NAF family, hope you have a great day and hope to see you soon.